isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will.
Welcome to Perspective, a podcast for wedding creators, where we sit down, often with a special guest, and talk about our many years of experience in the wedding industry so that you can learn from us and grow your wedding business. And who are we? Well, I am Simon, and this is Jerry Smith. Together, we are Cinemate Films, two Scottish-based wedding filmmakers who love nothing more than drinking coffee and talking shop with others in the wedding industry. And we've teamed up with Photography Farm to bring you 6 special episodes of this podcast in anticipation of Thrive 2024, an all-star wedding photography workshop taught by 6 phenomenal mentors. This episode is, of course, sponsored by With Jack, but I will get onto that a little bit later in the show. Hey, Jerry, who are we talking to?
We are talking to Jo Greenfield. Hello, Jo. How are you?
Hey.
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, Jo. I'm very well.
Yeah. Have you got coffee or anything to drink there this fine morning?
It's run out. It's run out.
Oh, no.
But it's all right. It's fine.
It's fine now until we get past the first hour, and then you'll be absolutely gagging for another sip of coffee. So
the first hour? What are you talking to me about for a whole hour? Surely there's nothing you can...
We're picking your brains. We're picking all the knowledge out of your brains.
There's nothing there. There's no there. It's gone.
Well, then this will be a very long podcast about nothing. So, yes, enjoy this.
That sounds good, yeah.
And just so, Jo, just before we start, I want to ask Greg to cheers me with the cup of coffee.
Why?
And take a sip and see what you think.
I mean, it's terrible old coffee.
So the reason I'm doing this, Jo, is because I was making coffee with the good grounds, but they were finished. And then I burnt my hand on the kettle and I knocked the glass over and all the good coffee went everywhere. And so I had to use the really, 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 really old beans.
Nasty.
And they're not, it's not good. It's not good.
It's a struggle to drink.
It's just, yeah, it's hard. So yeah, sorry about that.
Close your nose off, you'll be right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Jo, for those who don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Okay. Hi, I'm Jo Greenfield. I live in the Lake District and I am a wedding photographer who occasionally does some films. That's it. Oh, fly a drone as well. I only crashed it twice.
That only means you're a proper drone pilot then.
I know, right?
You're not a proper pilot if you've not crashed.
I know. I crashed it in style into a quarry, into the water, and dived in after it and got it.
Brilliant.
All right. Well done. And is it still flying? Is it all right? Oh, you got someone at your door.
It's fine. There is someone at my door. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, person at the door.
I'll just leave it. It's fine.
If you want to go get it, it's fine. No, okay.
Well, he might just keep ringing.
You might do. Fine. We'll see. If it rings again, you can go. Just the last time I saw you, we were sitting down in the morning of day 2 of Thrive, I think it was, from last year. Oh, now he's knocking. He's an aggressive.
No, I'm gonna go. 1 second.
What a start, ladies and gentlemen.
The person's chapping the door going, I can see you're right there. Answer.
I can see. Bloody Amazon.
Is this like a new PS3 or something?
PS3?
Remember that happened?
How old are you?
Remember that happened?
No, I wish it was. No, it's my Gusto food box.
Oh, lovely.
Oh no, now it's just going to get like warm in the...
Nah, they're designed to sit on your doorstep for hours.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, the last time I saw you, it was at Thrive. How was the last Thrive that you attended?
It was amazing. It was. I always love going to them. It just comes at the right time of the year to have a think about the last year, have a think about the year ahead, and just reevaluate where you're going, what I'm doing, whether I'm doing the right thing. And it's just, I don't know, it's just a really good crowd of people. I find every time good crack, good people, good speakers, and just go away feeling ready for the next year. Especially after the last 3 years as well.
Yeah, I know. You know, one thing I really do appreciate that Lisa obviously focuses on is getting really good speakers. And every year she just ups it and it gets better and it gets better. I mean, now that you're on, Jo, how like, where's it? It can only go down. It can only go down.
When I got the phone call, I was like, what's wrong with her? Is she broken? Has everyone else said no? Like, why she finally got to me? And I said, she messaged me and I was like, nah, I'm just going to ignore this. I'm going to leave it in the inbox for about 10 days because I thought it's either that I'm not allowed to come anymore or that and she's asking me to speak. And I was like, I really hope that she's banning me from coming. So it took all my courage to like say yeah, because it just feels so weird. It feels so weird to be on the other side of it. It's like I don't belong here at all. But
you obviously do. Like she chooses who she wants to speak to specifically.
Well, yeah.
So you obviously do. And do you feel nervous? Like, have you started writing your talk yet?
Yeah, I have. I had a content creator follow me around at my last wedding of the year. That was last week. Because I was like, I can't just stand up and speak. I did it. I spoke at another event earlier in the year and I really struggled. I found it really, really hard to do it. And I just felt that I needed someone to sort of like come around filming me doing what I'm doing so it's not just me talking. So yeah, I've started it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I'm going to start piecing it all together and put it into some form of presentation. But that's my winter project.
Yeah. What is your talk going to be about? The broad strokes, obviously.
Shooting hybrid, basically.
Yeah.
Shooting hybrid. So started offering films to my photography business.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, so I don't know if you know this, Jo, but we've introduced a new section of the podcast called Show and Tell, where we select some images and we talk about them and I get you to tell me the backstory. And I really did want to pick one of your videos.
Oh, God.
But I couldn't figure out how to play it on TV. or even how to... how to... Yes, I'm a professional, ladies and gentlemen. I couldn't figure out some technology. I really wanted to do it, but I didn't know how to best watch a certain amount of time, and when we've got listeners, what I'm basically trying to say, listeners, is if you haven't seen Jo's films, go onto her website, Instagram, and watch them because they're really good. And that's all I wanted to say. Anyway.
Oh, thanks.
Before we get on to your work and how you do it and all that kind of good stuff, I know that you're a fan of serial killer documentaries.
I am a fan of serial killer documentaries.
First of all, why and which ones do you like, you morbid individual?
Do you know what? I think the wedding industry is just too happy for me. So I've got to sit there and edit these beautiful couples in love to death and murder. I just think it balances it out. It brings back the misery of life. You know, you can't, this job's so happy. I need to just put it into perspective sometimes. So I sit on my iPad and I edit and I watch people being brutally murdered. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm with you, Jo. Those happy fucking wedding people, they make me sick. Oh, God.
Well, okay, to put it in perspective, I used to be a secondary school teacher.
Oh, okay.
And to counteract the misery of that job, I used to watch happy films all the time.
Right.
So it's kind of split.
So you just always need the balance in your life.
I always need the balance. It can never be too good or it can never be too bad.
Fair enough. I mean, well, so what one's your go-to favorites? Like, and do you listen? And have you ever listened to any serial killer podcasts? Because we used to listen.
Oh, Serial was amazing. Yeah.
Back in the day when it came out to weddings and elopements, which was fun. But which ones are your favorites?
It sounds bad, doesn't it? Because they're usually like real life. So I don't want to say like, oh, this one's like my favorite killer because it's all bad. But
favorite show.
What was the last one that I watched?
Yeah,
favorite show.
Your favorite portrayal of a story, because some of them are really well done and some of them are just, emotional, like they just prod you with the emotion stick, and there's not many facts or whatever. So,
Okay, this is gonna say a lot about my personality, but Hannibal.
You
know, from a few years ago. I don't know whether you ever watched it. It's like really dark, and really weird. Really weird.
Are you talking about the TV show?
I love it.
The TV show Hannibal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Funnily enough,
from a few years ago.
Yeah, I started watching it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
From a few years ago. It was odd, very strange.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting little. Hang on a minute. Hang on. That's not a documentary, is it? That's cheating.
I know. Well, I don't want to say I don't want to say. I know because then I look like I'm like glamorizing. Like.
Okay.
I mean, like Jeffrey the Dahmer one.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. Okay. Well, okay. Staying on horror vibes, then. I also know that you're a Walking Dead fan, and I too am a Walking Dead fan.
I am.
Obviously, Walking Dead's kind of been over for a little while, but they are coming out with new shows. I don't know if you know about them, Jo.
I've not read too much into them, but I know there's something happening.
Yes. Well, obviously you got Fear the Walking Dead, which is on its 8th season, I think. Yep, 8th season. And then you've got
I didn't like that.
You've got Dead City, which continues the story of
dead to me.
Guy with the baseball bat and woman
I can't remember.
Glenn's wife. Oh, that's terrible. Can't remember the characters' names. And then you got Daryl Dixon, where he's gone to France.
Yeah.
And that looks cool. And then you've got Rick and Shimon.
Sounds like there's too many spin-offs.
Michonne.
You're right. I knew I said that wrong.
There's a yeah, bit too many now.
Too many. Well, I'm just looking forward to these new ones because The Walking Dead, it did get tired, but there's other stories, and I like the other stories.
Yeah, but I think to do them all really well to the level of Walking Dead is going to be really hard. Like, just focus on one and do it really well.
I mean, they are, because The Walking Dead had so many characters, but really it did focus on Rick at the beginning, and the focus on one character in particular was that was the benefit of it. And then too many characters got intertwined, and then so many. Like at one point, you're just like diving into other people's stories. So now that they're kind of branching off with their own character-focused stories, I actually do think it will be better to watch.
Yeah,
but that's just me.
Enough murder, zombies. Let's weddings.
Yay!
So, tell us.
Some people at weddings look like zombies, don't they?
Tell us about the time that you did your first wedding. Was it a friend that asked you to shoot it?
So it was 16 years ago, and it was a guy who I worked with, and he was getting married for the second time. Mm-hmm. Don't really think he cared about the photography. And he was like, will you photograph my wedding? And I was like, I've literally only ever photographed rocks in the Lake District. That's it. And he was like, I want you to photograph my wedding. I was like, I don't want to do it. And he was like, I want you to photograph my wedding. I was like, I don't want to do it. And eventually I said, yeah, I'll do it, but I'm not getting paid for it. And that was it. And then it just snowballed from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
What was the most memorable part of shooting your first wedding?
Not knowing what the hell happens in a wedding. I'd never been to a wedding before.
Yeah.
It's like, what's this piece of paper you sign? What's this? And I had no idea. Genuinely no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
And that's the only bit I remember. Yeah.
I mean, it is funny.
Yeah.
I'd almost forgotten that.
Yeah.
That we'd show up to a wedding and not really know.
I feel like I had been to a few cousins' weddings beforehand.
Yeah.
So I had a vague idea, but...
No.
I had been to maybe like one or two before I got married. But, you have your own wedding, but it's different from being at someone else's wedding and working. I don't know. It does feel different, but not knowing. Yeah, I do wonder if other people struggle with that. Or even, do you ever feel that sometimes you shoot like different cultures of weddings, and they have different traditions and like little nuances that they do differently, and you're kind of almost in the same position?
I did my first Indian wedding this year in Italy, and it was amazing. But again, I was like a rabbit in headlights. I was like, what the hell is going on? And the couple were British, and her family was Indian. And so it was more sort of a nod to her side of the family who wanted this specific Indian pre-party.
Yeah.
And I'm just sat there in the middle of everything that's going on, like, what the hell is happening here? And it was incredible. Oh my God, it was amazing. But I was just... I've seen pictures like this on Instagram, but I don't know what I'm doing. But it was amazing.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Have you?
Don't know if I'll do it again.
Yeah. Have you had the privilege of shooting a Jewish wedding?
I haven't. No, and I see everyone do it, and they look insane. But I don't know whether or not I don't know if I'm the right person to do it.
I mean, if you're the type of person who gets to a dance floor and is fine, like bustling in with your elbows and getting in the action, then you're very much a good suit for any Jewish wedding.
Yeah.
And I'm asking because I'm editing one right now where it's just like they're on the chairs and they're being lifted up, and
I know.
Yeah.
So much fun.
I've seen that. I've seen it. It looks amazing. It does look good.
Yeah,
but it scares you though when you're not used to something. It's scary.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've shot a handful of Jewish weddings. Certainly more this year and last year, but I do remember the first one. Yeah. And it was in the Glasgow Fruit Market, which is quite a big space, and there were hundreds of people that didn't quite understand.
The couple actually told us you might normally stand off at dancing and stay on the outside, and we're like, no, we get involved a wee bit. And they're like, no, you'll need to properly get involved here, like elbows out, make way for yourself, get in there. We were like, all right, okay.
Oh, I see.
Once we did it, we were like, oh, okay, we understand now.
Yeah.
Now you get it.
And back then, I was shooting with a glide cam and my camera on top and a big lens, and I just thought, I need to, I can't use this glide cam in here. There's too many people. So that was the first time I went handheld for dancing, and it
was a momentous moment. He just undid that hot plate, took off the glide cam, and there was music and everything.
Tears in my eyes. It's like a death in the family.
So Jo, 16 years ago, you shot your first wedding, and then a lot of time passed. But something that will be quite relatable to quite a few photographers that are maybe early in the industry, like you transitioned to full-time around the pandemic time, is that right? Tell us a bit more about what your mindset was there, any challenges you faced on making that jump. Like, how did you go about that?
Well, to be honest, so I was a secondary school teacher, and I'd always done photography on the side, and I'd always said, I'm never going to do this full time. It was always a hobby. And there's another side to the story. So my husband and I struggled to have a baby. It took a few years, but we got there eventually. And we had a baby in the October. Yay! And now he's at nursery because he's annoying. And we had him in the October 2019. And I made a decision that by September 2020, I would be fully self-employed wedding photographer, because one of us needed to stay at home. One of us needed a bit more flexibility to work, and it had to be me. So that was the plan. So had a baby, and then 4 months later, a pandemic hit, and I got my last payment from teaching. I got my last maternity wage 3 days before lockdown.
Wow.
And I had 46 weddings booked in for 2020. I'd taken more than I wanted to, just to cover that transition period, just to make sure that I was fine financially.
Yeah.
And it was just mind blown. I didn't see it coming. I honestly did not think it would shut down. I honestly was so naive. I was like, nah, the world can't stop.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And then that's the start of everything.
Yeah. By the way, that's a lot of weddings to have to postpone, or what was like did most of them postpone, or were there cancellations, or like how did you deal with all that especially now that you've made that jump?
Yeah, so most postponed. A lot. I try to see the positive in a lot of things, even though I like the serial killer documentaries. I try to see the positive. And so I kept going through the pandemic. I kept posting stuff. I kept saying, look, you don't have to wait. You can have a micro wedding. You can have an elopement. Just get married, blah, blah, blah. And I think that really helped keep me going. And so by the end of 2020, I'd still done 28 weddings.
Wow.
Thinking back now is just insane.
That is amazing.
I'm very lucky where I live is that there's a lot of elopements, I guess, like Scotland as well. So we have a bit more flexibility rather than doing just big weddings. So yeah, it was fun times.
Yeah.
And you said that you took on extra bookings to sort of prepare for that transition. So imagine the pandemic hadn't happened and your plan was to shoot more to make up for the income and blah, blah, blah. Was there anything else you did to plan for that transition from employed to self-employed?
No, because it came so much earlier than I was planning. I thought that I would have more time, but actually, when I sit back and reflect now on that period, it was the best thing that ever happened, because I guess when you normally go from fully employed to self-employed, there's no transition at all. You can sort of plan for it, but you've got to stop one and then go straight into the other. With the pandemic, I couldn't physically work for 4 months. And so I suddenly got this time frame where I got a chance to plan, market, do my website, start reevaluating what weddings I wanted to do. And that's really where elopements for me just completely took off. And so I had this 4 month period where no one could work, and it was actually ended up being amazing. I shouldn't say it, but it did.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, again, this is going to sound weird for a completely different reason. I kind of enjoyed having the summer off for
me too.
It was year number 12, and it was just, I got to spend some time with my kids, and I get you. I'm sure everyone has at least some positive moments from hopefully.
Financially, obviously it was hard financially.
Oh yeah.
But I was lucky that my husband kept his job and he wasn't affected. But I know there was many, many other people that were not in that position.
Yeah.
So I was very, very lucky.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
And so on your website it says that you've done 167 weddings since lockdown. Obviously, I'm assuming that number is more now.
Yeah.
How did you manage that workload once you'd start shooting, especially with a young son?
I drank a lot of gin.
I love the honesty.
That's the answer to that. I spent pretty much 2021 and 2022 off my face. I'm thinking about this now because I'm not drinking. I'm barely drinking these days. I stopped sort of February time. And I explain it in that I'm lucky that I don't need much sleep. I can survive pretty well off 5 hours sleep, and I do enjoy working. But with a small child, he was a baby. I was having to stay up even later. So I was drinking. My editing became my social life. I was have a drink. Before I know it, bottle of gin, had gone. Not a night. Not a night.
Wow.
Maybe a week.
Okay.
I don't know. But it was just to keep me awake. I was just on autopilot.
Yeah.
I definitely, now looking back, my life was completely on hold. It was just about work. But I'd made the mistake of lowering my prices during lockdown. And with that, I kept going. But in hindsight, it was probably not the right thing to do because it was so busy.
Yeah.
But got through it, did it. And I'm glad. Yeah.
Yeah. since you brought up price, what were you? What did you drop to? And then where are you now? And tell us what you offer your clients now.
Okay. So when the pandemic hit, I was, I think, 2,200 for full day weddings. And I looked around some of the wedding photographers who I really liked and discovered that one in particular was charging 1,400, and they are amazing. And I suddenly had this huge wobble, and I was like, why, how am I charging so much more than this person when they are so much better than me? And it really messed with my head. And so I slashed my prices to 1,400, which I'd not been for probably 6-7 years before that. I'd just slowly gone up in tiny little increments.
Yeah.
So I went down to 1,400. And then about midway through 2022, it's like, what the hell am I doing? What have I done? So I'm now at 2,600 full day, and I'm booking out at that. So I know that I was just stupid. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. I was in survival mode. I was like, how I need to keep working. I need to keep showing that I'm working. But I just did not think about the aftermath of where all the editing, where's the time for the editing? Where's my time going to come from? I didn't think about it. I was just in survival mode.
And then there was also like, sounds like it was imposter syndrome as well, like survival mode with massively. Imposter syndrome on top of it. It just, that's brutal. Yeah.
It was. I think we all went through that period where we were all looking to each other for answers. What's this person doing? How's this person coping with the pandemic? Are they refunding? Are they carrying on? There was such new territory that no one knew what to do. And we were kind of like on our own. So that's how I survived through it. Yeah. Whether it was the right thing or the wrong thing to do, I don't know. But and I'm going to tell the tale. So.
And what was the realization that you were, it was time to go back up to go back up?
Working too much, working too hard. I'd realised that, and what I was offering was, I'd done so many weddings in the last 2 years. My skill set had gone through the roof compared to where it started. Like, it was still okay, like during the pandemic, but I'd learned so much and started offering film during that time as well. Yeah. So, I'm probably going off on topic here, but I'm looking around at the moment, the current state of the industry at the moment, and I'm relatively cheap compared to a lot of other people that I'm seeing. And I don't know whether the industry's changed a little bit. People seem to be coming in and starting off, only doing a few weddings and going straight to over $3,000. And it's that's fine if that's what they want to do, but it's still, I think I'm just still in teacher mode. I always think to myself, I worked a month as a teacher and I'd bring back £2,000 after tax. And I was like, it blows my mind every day that I get to do this and earn that amount of money from what is on paper one day's work. We all know it's not. Yeah. But it just blows my mind. And I think that's what stops me from going higher. I think I'm okay where I am, but again, it's funny. It's a funny world, isn't it?
Yeah, and I get that. And I wonder how much education, because obviously there's so many workshops and conferences and stuff now. I wonder how much that plays with, the newer generation. Or maybe they've just got a different relationship with money, or,
Maybe. I question this quite a lot. I do a lot of thinking in between watching serial killer documentaries. I do a lot of driving, so I'm constantly, my brain is constantly, it never switches off. I'm always thinking about this. I'm thinking, why? And, you can pay sometimes £2,500-3,000 to attend a workshop and a styled shoot. And it always tends to be geared around the luxury end, the luxury market. Yeah. And I think there seems to be this attitude at the moment where if you're not charging over £3,000-4,000, then you're a bit shit, which is not the case. But there seems to have been this shift in attitude. I found personally, and it's, I don't know. Maybe it's just my age. Maybe it's just I don't know. I don't know what it is. And I'm absolutely all for the photographers who are going in at that price range straight away. Good for you. Like, absolutely know your worth. And don't be working yourself into the ground drinking gin every night because you've got too much editing to do. So I'm all for it. I think it's just my old lady brain won't let me go that higher because I'm still in full-time salary mode. I can't get it out of my head.
I get that.
Yeah.
One day I will.
Yeah. Well, let's move away from the pricing because I remember when I did the last time I saw you, you were talking about with Abandon, your collective. So tell us about that. What's your role? What is it? Yeah.
So during the first lockdown, myself and two friends sort of had this concept where we wanted to keep working and we needed to find a way around it. And we saw a market for adventurous couples that just wanted to get married. And I think the pandemic allowed couples who didn't really want the big wedding day to go off and just get married. And so we came up with a concept of let's design their whole wedding day and let's give them an adventure and let's photograph it and film it and plan it for them. And that's where it started. And that got us through the pandemic. We're still able to work under COVID restrictions with that model.
Yeah.
And my role in that threesome when it was still a threesome was filmmaker. Still is now, but there is only two of us now.
Oh, right. Okay. So is that a trouble with the relationship or just other plans?
We're still friends. We all went off in different directions. I think what started out as a passion project and a way to get us through the pandemic then soon took on new legs. And you'll know it planning is so tough, so difficult, getting it absolutely right. And the third person in the group, she was the planner, and working with two photographer and a filmmaker it's hard work. We have got specific things that we want to capture. We've got a specific vision and it's hard to get everyone to tick all the boxes to make sure it's right. So it was a lot of work, a lot of pressure that would put her under. Yeah. And I think in the end it was like, no, like I can get paid more money for doing something else. And she did, and we're still friends and we're all supportive, but we just went in different directions.
Oh, good. I'm glad you didn't get inspiration from all those serial killer documentaries and she's not like lying 6 feet in some woods somewhere because you wanted to experiment one free weekend or something. So that's good. I'm glad she's...
Well, I would never have got away with it because I'd have filmed it. So.
Well, absolutely. Why not? If you have enjoyed this conversation so far, you can join us on Perspective at... on YouTube rather at youtube.com/perspective by Cinemate, and make sure you buy your tickets to Thrive in case you haven't done so already.
Yeah, but before we go into more sort of businessy stuff and more shooting, what's like you started doing photography, you said it was more of a hobby weekend job for fun, now it's full time. What's your sort of deep why for doing wedding photography in particular?
I never knew anything different. I had a camera at 23 and used it to photograph things in the Lake District. And there was mountains are nice and lakes are nice and forests are nice, but photographing people is so interesting to me. Photographing, just the art of capturing an emotion and then later on in life putting people in the mountains, in the lakes, in the forest was so much more exciting to me than just taking a picture. Anyone can take a picture, but if you can capture someone's emotions or facial expressions or a moment that they're never going to see, that they don't see at that time because they're too busy laughing, like that to me, it's just, that's my why. That's one of my whys. The other why is because I want to choose my days doing what I want to do, not being managed by some bellend. Oops, sorry.
You can say bellend, it's fine.
not being managed by some idiot who doesn't know what they're talking about. And I did that for a long, long time. I spent 14 years working as a secondary school teacher, and before that as a graphic designer, and I was just never happy. I was never ever happy being managed. And this job allows me to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And yeah, you are still working for someone, you are working for your couples, but it's different. And that's my why.
Yeah. I get that. You do need more than just a why, though, to be successful. So obviously you had time to sit down and think about what you wanted to do, how you wanted to do it, your branding, your website. So tell us a little bit more of how and why you made the decisions to shoot the wins or moments that you do, and how you reflected that in your brand.
Okay, so the story goes back to 2017, and I'm going to be really honest. I had a complaint 2017 from a couple, and it really affected me quite badly. I'd never experienced anything like it before, and it sort of changed everything for me from that point. I realised that I'd chased after a venue. I'd not done my proper vetting of couples. I'd just said yes to it because I wanted this venue. And the trouble that came after it was just not worth it. And I changed everything from that point. I was like, no, rebranding, saying it as it is, marketing to the couples that get me. And then, so that started pretty much 2018. And sort of like progressed during that time period of COVID, where I had a chance to think about, am I doing the right thing? Did 2019 give me my best couples? Yes, it did. And why was that? And just changed everything. And I vowed never ever to go back to being someone that just took a wedding for the money. Yeah. It always had to be the right couple, the right feel, and the right vetting process that came around it. And so from that time period, that 4 months during COVID where I couldn't work, I really thought about, what questions do I need to ask my couples or prospective couples? What do I need to find out from them? What do they need to know from me to make sure we're a right fit? Because I always say that this job is, essentially, it's the same job. We are taking a camera and we are taking a photograph. But actually, the office changes. Every time you walk through the door, the desk is in a different place, the chair's in a different place, the coffee machine's moved, because the weather is different, the couples are different, the venue is different. Every single aspect of this job changes with every single wedding. And so the one constant has to be how I am and how I get the right couples. That's the only thing I can control.
Yeah.
It's a very long-winded answer to, I can't even remember the question.
That's fine. And now that you've got your couples, like, I know you've got,
yeah.
I really enjoy your sense of humor. I really do. And it comes out in your brand and in social media. Does, like, now that you changed your branding, do you feel more able to be the person that you are with a good sense of humor, or has that never been an issue for you?
I feel like I don't have to hide anything. When I was a teacher, I went for a job, went for oh my gosh, what's it called? A promotion. I didn't get it. And the feedback was, Jo, it's not what you say, because what you say is often very right. It's the way that you say it. And for a time period being a teacher, I was like, right, I've got to change how I say things. I've got to be more professional. I've got to be this person. And I tried it for about 3 weeks. And I was like, fuck this. I can't do this anymore. Like, I just need to be myself. Yeah. And the day I decided to just be myself was just like this huge relief. I was like, just because we are a business owner, just because we are deemed to be professional, doesn't mean that we have to sit here and pretend to be something that we're not. And the right people, there are people like me who just want to be normal. I said normal. you attract what you want, and I don't know. It's so much easier now. I don't worry about anything. I'm like, well, if they don't want to book me, they won't book me. They'll go somewhere else. There's so many weddings and so many wedding photographers, and I only want 30 a year. That's all I want.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think by being more me, that's a massive part of my vetting process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes that does have to come from a hard realization, like the complaint that you got way back. Like sometimes that has to give you a kick up the butt and go change things up. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I just can we talk about your complaint and how you handled it? And
absolutely, yeah. So
what did you do?
So the couple, what did I do? Cried. No, I did. I cried a lot. So the complaint came. So I sent the gallery back off to the couple, and within 6 weeks, and got a Facebook message straight back. Jo, we love it. We're so happy. We've really loved the day through it. Where can we leave your review? All this, it was amazing. It was brilliant.
Okay.
But all the correspondence always came from the groom. On the wedding day, the bride barely spoke to me. It was very strange. It was just a bit odd. I can't work it out. And when I got to the wedding day, there was a lot of Uncle Bobs everywhere on the phones, on the cameras. It was just, one of them. We've all had one of them.
Yep.
Anyway, got the feedback 6 weeks later, was so happy, put it to bed, all done. And it was 4 months later, just completely out of the blue, this email lands in my inbox, and it's 2 pages because I printed it off. I was like, I can't look at it on the screen. I need to print it off and read it and highlight it. And it was just stupid little things. It was on the day, your conduct was perfect. We really enjoyed you being around us, blah, blah, blah. But the grass isn't green.
Oh.
It's like, fuck's sake. I was like, you've seen my editing, you know. And at the time I was using LXC, the old LXC presets. So all the greens were muted. It was just the thing back in 2016, 2017. They'd seen plenty of full galleries and knew what they were getting. But within the email, I had this screenshot of my pictures underneath Uncle Bob's with this green grass and all this shit. And then further on down was I know we were tired on the run up to the wedding, but you photoshopped wrinkles into my hands and bags under my eyes. I was like, dude, I am promising you now, I have not had time to Photoshop anything into your face. That is what you look like. And it was just a bolt from the blue. I was like, what the hell? And Rich, my husband at the time, I'm still married to the same one. My husband, he was working away with the army at that point, and I was completely on my own, and we were going through a really tough time with IVF. And I got this email, and I was just so beside myself. The panic. It was horrible. I will never ever forget that feeling. And I never actually ever want to forget that feeling, because it always makes me make sure I've got tick boxes in my head of don't ever feel like that again. What can I do to not feel like that again? And obviously the wedding day is gone, but everything afterwards. And I couldn't deal with it straight away. So I didn't email back. I just kept reading it. And when Rich got home a few days later, he's brilliant. He's absolutely fantastic with factual. His emotions are a lot less than mine. So he asked me all the questions. He asked me to address everything that she'd mentioned in this email. And he asked me my opinion on it, and he wrote it up perfectly. Sent it off to her. 2 days later, gets an email back. Thank you, Jo. Really appreciate your reply. I was like, what? And it was just bizarre. I was so taken aback. I was like, what? You've basically ruined my week, my month. Yeah. And I've responded to your issues, and you've come back with that. Turns out she'd complained to a lot of the suppliers. Yeah. So I can only assume that it was a money thing. I'm not sure. And that when Rich wrote back with the breakdown in nicely worded format, that she didn't get what she wanted, and then she backed off. But it absolutely killed me. It killed me.
It must have been really tough at the time, and it's so hard to deal with. But it's good that you had someone that was like a sound sounding board, like somebody you could talk to, and
Yeah.
they were slightly removed. Obviously, he was like there with you, and he'd have been annoyed that somebody was complaining to you, but he was slightly removed.
He was, but I mean, I've got my girlfriends, my little WhatsApp group, my go-to photographers that are still good friends now, and immediately they're the ones that got the full pelt straight away. I was like, you need to look at this gallery, you need to check it for me. Yeah. And the ironic thing was, it was one of my favorite ever galleries. But there were so many red flags now looking back that I just ignored because I wanted the venue. And I thought, no matter what now going forward, if it's the best venue in the world, if it's the most sought after one, if there's any tiny little red flag or anything that is come up in that initial inquiry form, don't take it, don't do it, because it will only cause grief afterwards. Yeah. There will be another wedding, there will be more income.
Yeah,
just don't take it.
There's silver linings and positives to take from it. And it sounds like you've also, from hearing about the other complaints to other suppliers, you've realised that it's just one of those people, one of those couples. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I admit the grass thing was valid. The grass was not green. And that has been something that I've changed over the years. So my green grass is slightly more greener now. Maybe a bit muted, but definitely not blue. So that is one thing I worked on. I did take some feedback. I was like, okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Ashley from With Jack. I'm one of the sponsors of the Perspective podcast. With Jack helps to keep photographers in business by supporting them financially and legally if they have problems with a client or they make a mistake in their work. We've all had that fear of our CF card or our hard drive failing and losing important photos. You can find out more at withjack.co.uk. Head over there and find out how we can help you be a confident creative.
Well, let's talk about your style then. How would you describe your style of photography as a whole?
Artistically muted is the term I use.
Okay. And what does that mean?
What does that mean? I like the colours to look like the real colours.
Okay.
But not straight out of camera. I want it to look edited, but not too edited, to make sure. I just think couples spend so much time doing their colour palette and they pick their colour palette, and I just want it to reflect that. But the greens do my head in, so green's slightly more desaturated than the others.
Yeah. Are you?
But I said that as colour.
Sorry, I was just gonna ask what kind of camera gear you're shooting with, because I know greens are a hard color for certain brands.
We won't mention. Canon.
Okay.
Canon.
Oh, well then you've got no excuse then.
Yeah. I know. I just get it in presets. But yeah, no, it's fine. No, I love Canon. I've always been Canon. So,
yeah. You know, it's funny you mentioned the whole color and trying not to color grade as heavy, because I feel like that used to be me as well. That I used to really kind of push things to so my theory on that was like, if I wanted to make Instagram look nicer, then when you're shooting all these different weddings and different weathers and different color palettes, that if I just force all the kind of colors into a specific look, then naturally, you know, your Instagram feed will look better. Yeah. But I remember someone saying something about the bridesmaids' dresses looking the wrong color, and I'm like, but it looks good. But it was the wrong color. This
is it.
And it's it's that kind of balance between wanting to produce something that looks good, but also wanting to create something that looks authentic and real. And
this is exactly what I say all the time. And the older I'm getting, the more I realise that, I want my Instagram to look lovely. Of course I do. And it looks absolutely shit at the moment because it's just not curated. It's not. But that is not my job. My job is to go and be the best photographer at that wedding and do the best job I can do with the circumstances I'm given for that couple.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't look like a styled shoot, then so what? Like that's not what I'm being paid to do. I'm being paid to capture memories. And if the colouring is slightly different from wedding to wedding because one wedding pissed down and one wedding was horrendous sunshine, that's just black and white. Black and white. Shove it in black and white.
Yeah,
and it looks
absolutely.
consistent.
Joe, by the way, I'm on your Instagram right now. Shut up. Your Instagram's great. Your images are amazing. So shut up. All right.
No, but you know what it's like. You go onto someone else's Instagram. No,
it does. It looks great.
Someone else's Instagram, and
Greg.
It looks like you've opened. Like it looks all right. It'll do. It's not like shit, is it? But it's. I would say I am average Joe. My name is Joe. I am average Joe.
You are.
Yeah.
You've lost your mind.
No, because I just stop it. I just feel. I had a whinge on Threads the other day. I was like,
oh yeah,
show everything. Just show everything. Stop curating it. Stop making it to be this perfect grid, this perfect little squares, because you're just setting yourself up for a massive fall. Just show everything. You know, it's the older I'm getting, the easier this is getting for me. Yeah,
I would agree. I mean, I feel like I've always struggled with the Instagram feed, and it, like, if you go to ours, it just looks completely all over the place because of all the lighting and the
See,
people.
you're started now.
I know. I mean, everyone has these kind of little doubts, and I've had it for a very long time, and I'm just now. I mean, maybe that's why I fucking hate social media. I don't know, but I don't have a personal social media. I don't enjoy it. I have always been like, I don't want to show my life because it's mine and no one else's, and I don't want to feel like I'm producing things for everyone's consumption. I am producing stuff for me and my couples, and maybe for Greg sometimes, because I know he'll be like, take that delay off that voice. You've added too much grain. But, you know, as long as these people are happy, then I don't really care what my Instagram looks like. But anyway.
No, I get that. The problem is, it is important, in it. It is a shop window, essentially.
It is a shop window. It is.
No matter what you say it is. And if, you know...
But anyway,
it just shouldn't take up as much space in everyone's heads as it does.
Yeah,
agreed.
exactly.
Agreed. Yeah.
So when you're not watching serial killers or Walking Dead, where are you getting your influences for the way you work, the sort of style and stuff in your photography? Like, are you looking at other photographers? Are you looking at books?
No.
Where are you getting your influences?
Nature. That sounds so weird, doesn't it? Living where I live, I love getting outside. I love paddleboarding, walking up mountains. So they are my loves are getting outside and watching films. Films for me are the biggest source of inspiration. Looking at other wedding photographers does nothing apart from make me feel shit about myself. So there's why do it? So I shouldn't admit it, but I do. Pretty much all wedding photographers on my Instagram are muted. I just don't want to see it. Not interested. Don't want to see it. So I follow a lot of landscape photographers who shoot in like Iceland and like all around the world, and I'm obsessed with like drone footage and just that. I just love that. I don't need to look at what another wedding photographer is doing, because I know that it's pointless, because I can't copy that. I'm not going to shoot at that venue. So I appreciate a nice picture, and I'll try and support my friends where possible. But if it's not inspiring me, not because it's crap, it's just if it's not inspiring me, then just don't absorb it. It's just taking up space in my brain that I don't need.
Yeah. So knowing that you get your inspiration from the outdoors, I mean, it's very different shooting a landscape to a couple. There's that couple interaction, unless you're crazy and you do actually talk to the rocks while you're taking photographs. Maybe.
I mean, it's been said. Yeah.
But the one thing that interests me about photography is that moment that because you're capturing one particular instant of something happening. And obviously with video, you do it 25 frames or 25 times a second or 50 or whatever it is. But it's a very different, like the process, the mindset is different. So I'm always interested in that moment. Like what moment are you looking for? And how do you know when to push that button?
I think when you spend time with a couple, you start to understand what their real faces look like, as opposed to their going through the motions, posing faces. I know that sounds really strange and it's not the right answer, but the longer you spend with them, I'm not interested in taking a picture of him looking at the camera, or like the ceremony to me bores me stupid. Like, I just see people stood there listening to a lot of words. I know it's the whole point of my job, but when I've got them on my own, I want to see them looking at each other, or one partner looking at the other the way that the other one has never seen before. That's, to me, that is what I'm looking for. There's little tiny things that that one person sees in the other that they'll never see.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm with you. Like, if it's a church ceremony and I'm shooting somebody, like the couple, and they're just stood there, half the time I'm thinking, I can understand why you look so bored right now, because there's nothing happening and I have to film it.
I know.
So I completely understand. But yeah, I mean, but you said, like, you did say there, that might not be the right answer. You said that's the wrong answer. There's no right or wrong answers to this weird art kind of craft thing that we do. That's kind of a business and whatever.
I think so long as you communicate it, I'm really heavy on the whole communication, like before they book, when they've booked, before the day. The communication is ridiculous. The amount of emails they get from me is just stupid. Like, I ask them a question. Like, if something happened to my camera and there's only 5 pictures on that camera at the end of your day, what 5 pictures would they be? And that's kind of my brief. And that came from a good friend of mine. She does that in a booking form, their inquiry process. And that changed everything for me. So they're the 5 things that they tell me that are important to them. They're the things that I focus on. And everything else in my head then is like, free reign.
Yeah.
As long as I've nailed those 5 things that they've asked for.
I'm just imagining like a couple, they've got anxiety and they're like, wait, what's going to go wrong with your camera? Why are you saying that? Are you only going to take 5 photos?
Oh God!
Suddenly panicked.
Well, it's good that they know. They should know what could happen.
Yeah. Oh God!
So,
get insurance.
Talking about that, then, walk us through your onboarding process for a couple. Like, what are you sort of doing throughout the process leading up to the wedding?
Okay. So you mean after they've booked?
Yeah. They've made that decision. How are you nurturing that relationship?
Okay, so they've booked and they get a newspaper that started 6 years ago as a 4-page newspaper with bits of advice. It's now 20 pages long. 20 pages of waffle of just stuff that I've picked up. Honestly, it's just grown into this monster. But a lot of them couples come back and say, we're so thankful that we've got this, because I've not got a wedding planner. I don't really work with wedding planners. That's not my kind of couples don't really go down that route. And so giving them advice that I've got throughout the years of doing this, I'm like their personal little wedding planner. And it's silly little things like don't stress about this and have group shots, but not too many. And just someone to guide them through the process, because I think the wedding industry sometimes can be there's a lot of waffle and a lot of unknown, and a couple going into it just want to get married, and I feel sometimes that no one really gives an honest opinion on what it's going to be like on the day. And so I give them lots and lots of information. And then at separate points during the process, so my Studio Ninja's set up to fire out emails and PDFs, depending on how far it is from the wedding. Well, things like I've got a PDF that'll go out and it's all about morning prep and just stupid little things like clean the bedroom up and who to assign doing this and what time to have your makeup and your hair done, and just little bits of advice that they just don't think about, because they've obviously planning a wedding is just massive, an insane amount of work, and most people have never done it before. So just a few little emails here and there. They can choose not to read them. Some don't. And that's fine. I can tell when they've not read it though. You turn up and it's just shit all over.
I was gonna say, do you have like a little notification on your browser to say, "Oh, this they've read your email"?
I do. So I know. I send. Like, this is how ridiculous it is. I send a bag. They have a tote bag that I send them.
Okay.
Booked with the newspaper. And it's on it is a stuck a label and it says Joe's bag of shit. It actually says that. And it's got a tick list. And I turn up in the morning and they hand me this bag of shit. And in it is rings, shoes, hair accessories, jewellery, garter, all that shit that I don't want to be looking around for and that they don't want to be looking around for. So they pack it the night before and they hand it to me and I go, "Hi, see ya, I'll be back in 20 minutes once I've photographed it all."
That's brilliant.
And it works. And it just makes my workflow so much better.
Yeah. I don't know of any other photographer who's done that before.
Yeah, like you hear about the photographer saying like, "Oh, have things ready for me in the morning," but that's like next level, saying, "Right, just put it in there and I'm ready to go."
Yeah. I love that.
Do you know, I've been doing it so long, I can't be arsed with the bridesmaid or the mother-in-law Zilla just like at me like, "Why are you asking all these questions?" And I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
Give me the bag, let me go, say hi, do my bit, see you later. I'll come back when you're all in a better mood.
Yes. Well, so I remember, again, going back to Thrive, and we were having another conversation at one point, and I think we were talking about Rachel Carpenter's talk, and she had mentioned ideal client, and you were like, "Oh, I hate that phrase, ideal client." Why do you hate ideal client?
The first time I heard it was back in 2016, and I was a bit more naive then.
Okay.
And I felt that it personally felt to me like it was the look, the budget, all that aesthetic stuff around a client. And I didn't like the term. I just didn't like it. But as I've got older, I've realised that ideal client can be a personality, which is definitely my ideal client is not a look. It's not a budget. It's not a type of wedding. It's not a destination. It's a personality. Mm-hmm. And that's my one constant. Yeah.
So what are you doing actively to try and attract those not ideal clients? Like, what are you putting out there to make sure you're getting the couples that resonate with you and that you resonate with?
I'm just being me. So I do share a lot of my life, the bits I want people to see.
Yeah.
You know, and when I say that, I do share my bad days and I share my good days. But, you know, there's a portion of my life that I do keep private that no one will ever know, but I post enough to think that everyone thinks that they know what's going on. And I was actually talking to a friend last night and she was having a bit of not a wobble, but a bit of a questioning who her ideal market was. And I just said to her, look, I often sound check myself and think, okay, so 8 years ago, I got married and I paid $2,000 for a videographer and $2,500 for a wedding photographer. So four and a half in total. That was 8 years ago. If I was to get married again today, what would I pay? And I actually don't think that would change. I think I would still probably pay that amount of money. And so in my head, that's my ideal client is me, is who I would go for, what I would look for. The kind of personality, likes a bit of a drink, likes to dance, is just what I consider a normal person. Yeah. And it makes it so much easier if you are your ideal client. Because it's like I say on my website as well, it's like and it was kind of like when I got the complaint, send me into a stately home, me from Preston, speaking like this. Like I'm not posh, and I just can't deal with it at all. Like it's like verbal diarrhea. Everything just comes out my mouth. So I need to be around a couple who get that. You know, if you put me in with a posh wedding planner, I ain't got a chance. Like I fall at the first hurdle. It's just
Fair enough.
I can't pretend.
Yeah. In fact, who was it? We had another guest on the podcast maybe last year, and they were like, "Yeah, I'm my ideal client, me, but wealthier me." And I'm like, "You put that very well." Yes, but I would say the same thing. It's me, but wealthier me.
I get that. I do get that. I do. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Money scares me.
Yeah.
I've had this very bad relationship with money, I think. And it's like, I in my head, I'm like, the more they're paying, the more they expect. And I know that's definitely not the case, but
yeah. Actually, in
80s child trauma.
Yeah. I actually reckon, because I used to think that, I actually have flipped my view on that. And I wonder, like, I think the more people pay, again, it depends on who it is, because that, broad brushes here, but the more people pay, the less pressure there is. Which sounds weird, and it's not true on the day, because you do feel like, oh my God, like how do I capture this really big wedding? But like, I don't know. I've known some clients in the past who, when we were super cheap, and they've had a lot of issues, and I don't know. I think
it all comes down to each individual couple.
Yeah, right. You're right. Yeah.
Like you've talked about red flags before, like haven't been able to identify them. Like what do you look out for when you're like, this one could be dodgy? What is an example of a red flag?
Oh yeah.
Lots of nagging. So if they sent me an inquiry through and I've not responded straight away, then they get on the Instagram. Then I get a text. I'm like, oh, fuck off. I'm not interested. Like, just leave. Like, I will get back to you when I have time. I've got a toddler. So that's like one. And I know I should be so grateful. I should be so grateful that someone wants to book. But to me, it's just a bit like, oh, you're a bit impatient. So impatience, red flag. When they sent me their 5, if they can have 5 pictures, if one of them is stood on a staircase with my dress sprayed out behind me, looking over my shoulder, I'm like, no, red flag, not interested. I'm so naughty, I know I am. I'm just so judgmental, but I want to be able to feel like I can just relax doing the job, and anything that comes up that is going to make me sit up and go, ooh, not sure on that. That it's just a red flag, isn't it?
Yeah. I think everyone can see those kind of moments coming. They don't always lead to disaster, but you're right. Like on the day, you'll probably feel it, like your client's expectations or whatever. I do have a quick question, and I haven't been asking everyone this, but the last podcast guest brought this up, and it was shooting for your clients or shooting for yourself. What's your view on who you're shooting for?
These days, at the age that I am and where I am in my business, I'm shooting for clients.
Okay.
Shooting for myself comes in workshops and style shoots. And if you can implement something that you've wanted to try in a workshop and you implement that into a wedding day seamlessly without impacting that wedding day, brilliant. But I think, I just think it is our job to work for our couples.
Yeah. Okay.
If you can have a nice balance, then brilliant. That's my take on it.
Yeah. You obviously just there you mentioned trying to incorporate maybe something new into a wedding. Are there any, like when you go to a wedding, do you have like a shot list in your head or any like go-to shots that, you wouldn't leave a wedding without?
No. Actually, I don't. Because I don't want to get an idea in my head and feel that I've failed if I've not managed to capture it after that day.
Okay.
I do for elopements when we're planning and designing our own elopements for couples. I will often, we know where we're going in advance. I know what I'd like. I'd sort of see the drone footage. I see like a story playing out, but I think it's different with elopements when it's just two people. It's much easier to sort of try and build a story, whereas there's so many unknowns on a wedding day, there's timings, all sorts of things just go out the window, that I just find it easier to just go with the flow.
Yeah.
And unless the couple have got a specific shot that said, oh, we really want this shot, I'll sort of say, well, I'll try my best, but I can't guarantee it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder if having the shot list is our way of making the wedding about ourselves. Like, and I'm not talking about like a shot of the ring or you know, I'm thinking about, the bride lying down on a couch and the groom, like if you have a pre-pose, like an idea of a pre-pose image, is that us putting ourselves too much into that wedding? I don't know.
I don't know. I think it depends. It depends on the relationship you've got with the couple, isn't it?
Yeah.
I had so my last wedding of the year last week. Amazing couple, hilarious, so inappropriate, but absolutely my kind of couple, 100%.
Yeah.
And they both said before the day, Jo, we're both autistic, like we're a bit weird and all this. And I was like, that's great, that's fantastic. And bride, it all became a bit too much for her at one point. So she just laid on the floor randomly in a dress with a flower crown on before she got married. And I was like, I'm going to get that. So I just stood over her, just started photographing her. And she was loving it. She was like, this is brilliant. And I was like, I would never ask a couple to lie down on the floor unless they just randomly did it. And then I was there, managed it. But I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But it was just a moment. And I was like, I'm going to capture this because you're having a meltdown. I think it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. You know, looking through your portfolio, there's one or two images of people just lying down. Like either they've fallen or they've given up on life, which I really enjoy.
It kind of reflects me, really. Isn't it? It's like, that's a daily grind. My kid throws some shit on a wall. Like, that's,
yeah.
Wait a minute. You said last wedding of the year. Well, how does that feel?
Yeah.
No more weddings for this year? Oh.
I've got one elopement, 21st of December, but that's it. But yeah, good. Good. Just got a mountain of editing to do now.
Yeah.
I'm going through it slowly.
Yeah.
But it's good.
What is your queue looking like at the moment? Like, what's your number of backlog?
12.
Okay. And how long does it take you to edit?
12. Depends whether it's photos or film and my discipline. So, and what TV programs are on. So, in terms of photographs, I can do pretty much a gallery in a day if I sit there and just concentrate and get it done. I actually stopped using AI last year.
You stopped?
Yeah.
Well, now this is interesting because obviously most people are pushing the AI and they're wanting everyone to go to AI. Why did you choose to not go the AI route?
So it got me through last year. It got me through a lot of weddings. But on reflection, I looked back at the quality of them and I just felt, for me, I was being a bit lazy and I felt that my controlling side of this job, I was still going back over every single picture, going back over, vetting it. And I was like, this is costing me money and really not saving me an awful lot of time at all. And so having 3 months off at the start of this year, well, pretty much I did my first wedding, so like March time, I just decided to not bother going back to it and managed to do every wedding this year just on my own. And that is probably why I've got a backlog, but I'm happier with the backlog than I am with what the AI was producing.
Yeah. Okay. I
think.
So going back to your shots at a wedding, how many are candid? How many are pose shots? Like, and how long do you like to take the couple for their session?
Not long.
Okay.
Not long at all. So I prefer to do 2 or 3 10-minute slots
Yeah.
for couples
Okay.
at different times during the day. The kind of couples I get do not want to leave their party, their family for too long, unless they're eloping. I've got 2 different kind of couples. The big wedding days, that they're all about the socializing. They want the nice pictures, they want some nice pictures, but it's they've got to be spending time with family and friends. So tend to be 10 minutes, 2 or 3 times at natural times when they're not going to be missed, when the guests are going in for their meal, when they've finished their meal. And even then, when I've got them on my own, it's not really posed. I do a pre-shoot with every single one of my couples. It's included in my package.
Okay.
And at the pre-shoot, I brief them on poses. And I'm very honest with them. I say, I'm going to put you in some poses today. So that the hope is when you see these pictures from your pre-shoot and the ones that you like, you will naturally get into them on your wedding day. So it doesn't feel like a photo shoot. So you will just have that organic moment, and it works every time. 10 minutes is all I need with them. They just do it. They're laughing, giggling. They know what they're going to get because they've seen it before in the pre-shoot, and it just works so much better for me.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
And is that, obviously you're a filmmaker as well, is that the same approach?
Yeah, I think so. It's I don't know that. I don't know what that was. Sorry.
Is that Alexa?
What she said. She doesn't know that. Sorry, just ask me that question again.
So you're a filmmaker as well. Do you have the same approach when you go to make a film with your, like, the way that you work with a couple, or when you go to shoot them?
Yeah. I think having worked alongside videographers before I started doing hybrid was a big education for me. You can't pose couples when you're videoing, because what good is them just stood looking at the camera? They have to be moving constantly. There has to be interaction. For me, personally, I think for a film, it has to be movement all the time. So I say, in my photography, the pictures, there's always movement. There has to be movement. And that helps me when I'm shooting photo and film together. So I just quickly shift between the two. And they just, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So talking about that then, obviously your talk at Thrive is about shooting hybrid, so we won't go into too much detail, but so you said there you switch between both. So you do both at the same time? Do you always make sure there's a second shooter if they're booking both? Or give us a brief overview of how you sort of make it work together. Okay.
So majority of the time I'm on my own. 2 cameras, both set up photo and film on both cameras. And again, the communication prior to the wedding is important for me. I ask them the questions. What are the 5 most important pictures? What are the ones you're going to put on the wall? Obviously, asking the group shots. And then I have a film questionnaire that goes out, okay, what would you like to see in motion? What are the most important things to see as a film? 5 things. And so if I nail those 5 things, then I feel like I've done my job, and everything else is extra. So as I've been doing this over the last 3 years, I make conscious decisions and choices throughout the wedding day on what looks better as a print on a wall or what looks better as movement. And most of the time I can make that decision, and it is one answer for those things. Occasionally there are moments in a wedding day where it has to be captured both photo and film. So usually walking down the aisle, confetti, they're the 2 main ones I would say that are the things that need to be managed. And so I've got certain things that I do to manage that. So confetti, for instance, as soon as they walk out the door, it's in film mode. I'd brief the couple, say, do you know, guys, when you get to the middle, just have a little bit of a kiss, da, 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 da. And then that's my cue to switch back into photographs. The first half of any confetti shot is always film, switch into photographs, do the rest that way. And it's just management. It's just trying to make the right decisions and manage the different bits during a wedding day to make sure that I am getting what they want, essentially.
Yeah. When you said you did both, I really did imagine you to be like video camera up, and just like snapping away randomly, like just hoping. You're
no, when I first started doing it, so I was very, very lucky because obviously, and I'm going to talk about this at Thrive, you know, I had micro weddings that were my playground, and I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that I was using weddings as education. But, and I will go into more of this at the Thrive, but, you know, I was being paid for a full day wedding and I wasn't able to deliver a full day wedding. So I was doing films free without the couple knowing to practice. Yeah. And I remember when I first started out, I used to have a DJI Osmo Pocket on my hot shoe. Oh, yeah. And I'd do confetti as stills and then the Osmo as a thingy. And it worked. For what it was, it worked. It was great. But then I stopped panicking. I think somewhere during the middle of 2021, I was like, stop panicking, slow down, think about things, plan it, have a bit more of a level head, and just think, stop taking as many pictures and start thinking about what looks better on film and what looks better on the wall. Yeah. And that really changed my mindset and how I work.
For other photographers who struggle with that particular decision, what advice would you give them?
I think it depends how long they've been doing it, but I think cover all bases once you first start shooting hybrid. Get yourself an Osmo, get yourself a second shooter. Yeah. I mean, and just find a way. You know, it's been.
I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you there.
No. I when you're first starting out, again, you've got to remember that this is someone's wedding day, and I think to give yourself as much support and as much backup when you first start out to make sure you don't cock it up. And then the more you do, the more you get used to it, then you can start maybe thinking, okay, well, that didn't work last time, so I'm not going to bother doing that this time, or I'm going to plan it a bit more. But I think it's with everything, it just comes with experience. It just comes with time. Time is so great to understand how to work different and to you know, I when I'm doing photographs and film, I don't want to be wading through 4,000 pictures, culling them. I haven't got time. Yeah. So change the way that you work, I think.
The advice I'd give them is book tickets to Thrive. Get more of this.
Oh, nice, Greg.
Exactly.
This is going to be thanking you for that. Well, you mentioned the Osmo Pocket. The new one's just come out, and it's apparently really good. So, you know, that might be a really good option for you if you're thinking about it. Just whack it on top of your camera and shoot away.
I think so.
Take away our jobs.
I've not used it for ages. Oh, here we go. I'm getting myself into trouble again.
No, at all.
It will never replace a person.
No,
it's like the iPhone, isn't it? When you've got Uncle Bob's behind you. People are always worrying about the iPhone now, aren't they? They're all, oh my God, the iPhone's going to take our jobs. Piss off. It's not.
Well, it does get the greens right, though.
Person's eyes.
Well, that's
it does get the greens right.
Stop it, Greg. Stop it. You bad man. Are there any collaborations or projects or anything that's like on the horizon that you're looking forward to?
No.
Okay, then.
I am having a bit of a break, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I'm having a bit of a quiet time over the next 6 months. I just want to I'm having a self-inflicted COVID. I'm just having a bit more of a take it all in, reflect on the last 3 years, and then just see where I'm at. Because it's been a lot. And yeah.
And
I want to start making.
Sorry,
Go on.
I think there's a little bit of a delay. Are you happy with where you are in business right now? Or are you going to process that? Is that something to process?
Yeah, I think the next 3 months, just sort of look at what I need to improve on. There's lots that I need to improve on. But rather than throwing money around and spending money going this, that, and the other, I just want to really have a bit of time to sort of research and see. I will actually dip in and see what other people are doing. That's the only time that I actually do start looking at other photographers and videographers. I want to use this time because I just don't think it's useful when you're in mid-season to start looking at what other people are doing. It doesn't benefit you at all.
Yeah.
But afterwards, when you've got downtime, start looking at what other people are doing and think, okay, well, yeah, now I'm going to start changing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan because like it sounds like you're the same, but a lot of photographers and filmmakers, they've been still in survival mode essentially. Like 2021 was just chaos and you just had to survive. 2022 was a bit more like still a bit the same. And now it's a case of like, I think taking a break like what you're doing is a good idea where it's like just slow down because it's just been fast paced ever since 2021.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It has. And I've seen so many people burn out and I don't want to burn out. I don't ever want to do anything other than this. I've done the teaching job. I've been a graphic designer. This for me is me till retirement now.
Yeah.
And it has to be the long game. It can't just be a flash in the pan. So, I mean, it's been 16 years, but 3 years really fully self-employed. But I have to make sure that it's the 3 worst years ever. But yeah, I've got to just.
What?
I think sometimes the industry gets very noisy.
Yeah.
And I just want a bit of peace and quiet to sort of figure out where I am in it all.
And some gin.
Lots of gin. Yeah.
Is there something that you would want to say to a photographer who's maybe just less than a year into the industry and like what would you want to say to them like to do to improve their business like now?
Don't worry about what the people think. Don't spend time worrying about Instagram or whether you've got enough likes or followers. Just it's really tough, isn't it? It's tough to give advice, but it's quite harsh. It's a harsh little world out there at the moment. And I think when you're just starting out, it's gone are the days where you would, like when I started 16 years ago, there wasn't any second shooting, there wasn't online for, there wasn't groups, there wasn't support groups. Now this seems to be everywhere. There's workshops and people say you should be spending this amount of money going on this style shoot in this workshop. And I imagine it can be incredibly overwhelming for someone who's just starting out.
Yeah.
And I think I would say take it slowly, build it up, it's going to sound awful, but do the crappy venues for 300 quid, like start at the bottom and get your experience that way and build up to charging a lot of money and doing the high-end weddings. Because very quickly, if you charge too much and end up cocking someone's day up, you won't end up carry on doing this job.
Yeah.
Because you will not want to do it yourself. Not because you've messed it up, but you will just lose all confidence. So I think start slow, don't worry what other people think, and find your own path is my advice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good advice. And now, time for my favourite part of the podcast. Show and tell.
Woo.
First image, Greg.
We're going to pull some images up on the TV. Hopefully you can see it clear enough.
Yeah. Yeah, just to double check, Joe, you can see this screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh God, I know what images come in.
What? Don't panic. You're fine. Okay.
Poor Nicola, bless her.
So I have picked this image of yours.
I bet you have. Yeah, you dirty perv.
All right. Calm down. Although I suppose I do like a wee cheeky bum cheek on some images, right enough.
There is a thread that's consistent in these images.
You've got to be careful now because that lady there is a wedding photographer.
Okay. I mean, I don't know who it is, right? But and it genuinely was the image because there's a sense of humor in it. There's obviously the landscape, the grandeur, but I'm always intrigued as to the relationship that you need to have with your client to be able to get them into this position. Or was this even a suggestion from you, or was it them? Did they like, we want to go into this thing and this is all them? So I want to hear the story behind this image.
Okay. So this couple, I met this couple in 2020. Okay. Just after lockdown restrictions had sort of eased, and they wanted a couple shoot. So they came up to the Lake District and we went to a beautiful scenic place, one of my favourites. And then at the end of it, they said, "Oh, Jo, we love wild swimming. Can we get in the water?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's great." So off they went to the car. I wasn't really knowing what to expect. Came back fully dressed in this like beautiful outfit. I was like, bloody hell, they've thought about this. Gets in the water, takes some really nice pictures of them. And then they were like, "Can we get butt naked?" And I'm like, if you want to get butt naked, that's fine. Like, can we have a picture like with our bums? I was like, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. So that was, and I'll never forget now. I got back and I was on WhatsApp. I was like, guys, you never guess what happened. This couple just got butt naked in front of me. And like, everyone was like, what? Anyway, so that was when I first met them. Uh-huh. And then fast forward 18 months, 2 years later, they inquired with Abandon, with myself and Erin. Yep. And so I kind of knew what to expect. I kind of knew they were very, very outdoorsy. James is a mountain leader. And Nicola's a wedding photographer, but they're both very, very outdoorsy. Mm-hmm. And we'd planned this day for them. They started their day at 6 a.m. walking up to this waterfall, and they wanted a swim, and they'd never swam in a waterfall before. They'd always just done seas, lakes, and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, they were like, "Do you want to go for a swim, guys?" And they're like, "Yeah." And they don't like wearing clothes when they go for them. So it just
fair enough.
Happened organically.
Must be bloody fucking cold. That looks so cold.
It was it wasn't too bad, actually. I mean, when that's cold, it's frozen.
So. Right, okay.
Oh, yeah. That freezes over in winter. So that's that was May as well. So it was,
and where...
But they were cold afterwards because...
Yeah. And where is this?
This is the Lake District.
Okay.
It's in the Lake District.
Cool.
Yeah.
Next image?
Yes, just to check. Oh, we've got Jo back. We lost your signal for a little bit.
It's just Wi-Fi.
It's just Wi-Fi. Cool. Because there's definitely a wee delay, so I apologize if I speak over you. I loved this image. I loved the composition. I loved that it's almost black and white. It's not black and white. There's that coolness to the rock. But I'm always thinking of the process behind an image. Usually. So obviously the couple are quite far away. There's a lot of snow.
Yeah.
Is this a case of you asking them to go up there and be there, or did you think, oh, I saw this circle in the stone, do I just run away and get it? Like, what is the story behind this image in particular?
This was a styled shoot for Lark.
Okay.
We went to Iceland back in February this year. And it was so cold that over pretty much the 2-3 days that we were shooting, we probably had, I would say, less than an hour of actual shooting time with couples because it was so cold. And so this shot was, everyone else pretty much got this shot who was on the workshop. Because the couple were just plonked there, and you can't see it, but she chucked her coat down on the floor, and it was literal seconds that we could get. She was wearing this beautiful gown. Yeah. And it was like, chuck the coat off, right, 30 seconds back on again. And everyone was getting this shot. But I decided, because I love landscapes, I decided to put my 16mm lens on and get it really wide because I just wanted that. I just thought I wanted the widest possible shot I could get. And so I shot it like that. I know that if you go on Lark's Instagram page, you'll probably see several variations of that image.
Okay.
but not that wide.
Yeah. I think the wideness...
It's hard on a workshop. You just want to do something different.
Yeah. I think the wideness is the thing that attracts me to it, because I don't know, there's something about the way it kind of curves, bless you, the way it kind of curves up to the side, but you've got this lovely kind of stone kind of breaking up the snow. I don't know, there's something about the tones and the shapes and I like it a lot.
Well, we didn't actually know that we were going to this place.
Okay.
It was a complete whiteout. We just got in this bus, they just drove us to this place, and we walked for about 45 minutes with crampons and just got to this cave, and you can't see it until you're in it.
Yeah.
Right. Whoa. And we must have been there for probably less than 20 minutes, what it felt like. And we just had to get back on the bus because everyone was freezing cold.
Yeah. I was going to say, you walked 40 minutes. Is that what you said? 40 minutes to here.
Yeah.
Like, that's that must have been cold as fuck. Like,
it was very cold.
But,
I had my dry robe, so it wasn't too bad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love a dry robe. Cool. Yeah. Well, next image, Greg. And this image goes back to what I was saying before. I love these images, but in particular, this one.
Oh, so clearly you wanted to get him lying down. You said, you lie down over there. That must be what happened.
I definitely said that to him. No, I remember this wedding. They've just had their 2-year anniversary actually yesterday, because I saw it pop up on Instagram. Not this picture, but that wedding. And it was the worst weather ever. I have never shot a full day traditional wedding in that weather. And it was in a pub, and there was like 150 people, and in the tiniest pub, the space, it sounds like what you experienced with a Jewish wedding, like the space to shoot was just insane. And so no one could go outside because it was the middle of a storm, and everyone was just drinking and drinking and drinking. And this was, I don't even know what happened there. I don't even know why he's on the floor.
Yeah, at first I thought he'd fallen down, but then I've just seen his pint glasses perfectly leveled on the floor, and if he'd fallen, that would not be still held. So he's obviously just decided to lie down on the dress.
Use the dress as a pillow.
I don't know. I think he just. Yeah, I genuinely don't. I'll have to ask her. What happened. But I just,
Oh, well, I was hoping you had the story as to why. But,
no, sorry. I think he was just very drunk and very tired and very warm in a pub.
Yes. Well, I guess boring. What made you share this image in particular then?
I just fucking loved it. I just love it. I don't know. I just absolutely belly laughed. I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Everyone has this image of this wedding, and it's like beautiful pictures and a beautiful dress. And I'm like, nah, that's not the reality. Yeah. For my weddings, at least, anyway. I don't know.
How long? I know this was 2 years ago, but can you remember how long he was there for? Because I love shots.
Seconds.
So I love shots like this, and I wish I could incorporate some of these kind of moments into a film, but they just happen so quickly, and then they get up, and then that's it. Yeah. And so, by the time you go down, you focus, like they're up within a second.
Yeah.
And it's just
no, I don't know. I don't know how long he was down there for, but I wasn't filming. This was just a photograph only wedding. But I remember there was a wedding last year, and the bride wasn't walking around with a man attached to the bottom of her dress, but instead a cocktail sausage. It's just, swear to God, there was a cocktail sausage just like following around on a train of a dress. I'll never forget it. And my second shooter managed to photograph it, and she filmed this cocktail sausage just trailing off with the dress. I was like, there's a beautiful moment in their first dance, but I'm not filming the first dance. I'm filming the cocktail sausage on the dress, because that to me is more important than the first dance. I don't know how my brain works.
Oh, sometimes. that is wonderful, Joe. That is wonderful.
That comes back to the brand image of you wanting to put that sense of humor and personality into your
I think so.
brand. Yeah.
I love it.
Just want couples that aren't going to take themselves too seriously, and a spade is a spade. If their favorite date nights are going to the pub and eating cocktail sausages, and that's important, not romantic-y dancing around the dance. I don't know, every couple's different, every wedding's different, and I just guess it's just adapting to what you see in front of you as to what are the most important aspects of that wedding are to capture.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, thank you very mumuch for giving me those images. Or, well, putting them out there so that I could,
you stole my images.
Steal them. That's right. What should people expect from your shoot session at Thrive?
Frantic mayhem and me mumbling to myself and probably swearing a lot, I would say. I'm joking.
That sounds great fun.
And cocktail sausages.
And cocktail sausages and gin.
Hey.
I am just, I used to be a teacher and I can deal with teenagers, but I cannot teach photographers. Like, it's just
You
horrendous.
bunch of moany children.
Wankers.
I wasn't going to say that, but...
No, I'm joking, no. I think people... I don't know. I don't know what the people are going to expect. I think from what I've experienced when I've had a second shooter who's wanting to learn hybrid and they've been watching what I'm doing, they're always just like, "Oh my God, you did it so fast. Like, what have you just switched between photo and film?" And I'm like, yeah. Expect very fast pace, crazy, just eyes everywhere all at once, looking at lots and lots of different things. I am going to do an edit session as well with my groups. Hopefully, that's the plan. That is the plan. Whether it works or not, we don't know, but I'm hoping to, because I think it's part of the whole process. I think
definitely
is valuable to people rather than just the shooting. Anyone can flick it between photograph and film, but the post side I think is important as well.
Yeah, I think that would be really valuable for folk if you manage to make that work.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully.
So
book your tickets. Book your tickets before they're booked out. Don't wait.
And wrapping up, final question is: do you have any book recommendations for our listeners?
What about photography?
Photography,
Anything.
business, or just inspiration?
I'm going to send people down a rabbit hole here.
Oh yes, I love a rabbit hole.
Oh, I don't know. Depends if you like your food or not.
Love food.
Who doesn't like food?
No, you won't when you read this book.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know whether I should do this because I've influenced quite a lot of people, but we'll see.
Well, go for it.
It's a book called Ultra Processed People, and I read it in July when I was doing a destination wedding, and yeah, it's an eye opener. Let's put it that way. It's an eye opener.
Ultra processed people.
I'm liking the diverse recommendations.
I've done a lot of
by Chris Van Tuliken. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it. It's quite a heavy topic at the moment. It's quite a heavy topic at the moment. It's all over the news. But I read this book in July, and it really did sort of affect me a little bit. I think it came from having had a baby, putting on quite a lot of weight, and then dealing with a pandemic and living off coffee and Red Bull and wedding cake and pick and mix for 2 years, and just not realizing what I was doing to my body. But very, very tired, drinking too much, and just being a bit of a waste of space, to be honest, and just not being the best version of myself health wise. And started a health journey sort of last October, lost a bit of weight, and then read this book, and it's just changed everything. Not in a good way either. Like, all my favorite foods have had to go because I just can't.
Oh no!
Can't eat it.
Oh no!
So, but it's opened up a lot more amazing doors.
Okay.
But yeah, only read it if you want to make a drastic change. Don't read it if you're happy and blissfully not caring about what's in your pie or your sweets or anything like that. Like, just you carry on.
Okay.
Only read it if you want to make a change.
I'm intrigued because there's a loaf of bread on the front cover, and
yeah, bread's like the worst thing ever.
stop it, Joe. Stop it. I don't care.
Sorry.
I don't care.
You start baking bread now. Making your own bread.
Fair enough. Well, it's available on Amazon for £12 hardcover. So if you're wanting to have a look at that, people, go and have a look. I might have a look. I'm always interested in dietary stuff.
That kind of came off the back of Sam Docker's talk from last year as well. His talk was obviously all about, well, not this last time, not last year. It was about health and looking after yourself and making sure you've got enough energy. And it really did resonate with me, that talk. And he's absolutely right. I know a few people like, oh, he's calling us all fat. I'm like, no, he's not. He's just like, he's telling the truth. Like, we have to be active to do this job. We have to look after ourselves health-wise, because if we go down with an illness, who's going to do that job for us?
Yeah.
You know, so it really did start the ball rolling. His talk really did sort of, it just made me think a bit different about a lot of stuff. So I don't want to go back to being a teacher.
Yeah. So long as it's not going down fat phobia or anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Body positivity is a powerful
I'd say so,
thing.
yeah.
So, yeah, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. I like that. I'm going to definitely see if that is available on audiobook. I don't read books very much. I'm more of an audio kind of person, but I'll see if it's on Audible. Jo, where can people find you online if they are wanting to have a look at more of your images or just
your films,
criticize your greens even further? I don't know.
They can find me on Instagram at Jo Greenfield, the photographer. Website, jogreenfield.com. Facebook, I have no idea what my handle on Facebook is. I haven't got a clue. Threads, God knows, I've not posted that on there for a while now. But yeah, just not on TikTok. Well, I tried, but I'm crap at it. That's why I'm so excited for Esme's talk.
Yeah.
So
your Facebook handle is Jo Greenfield Photographer. So there you go.
Oh, is it? Is it not the photographer?
It's
my
the
Facebook one. Right, okay.
That sneaky the. I didn't see. That's my dyslexic mind been skipping over letters and stuff. The photographer. Well done. Well done.
The photographer.
And people can find us at perspectivebycinemate.com, on Instagram at perspectivebycinemate, or just Cinemate if you want to have a look at our work. You don't have to. It's not that good. Thank you to With Jack for sponsoring this episode. And are you ready for Thrive? Because I am. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready, Jo?
I'm really ready, yeah.
Yes. Well, get ready for our yes. Get ready for the 2-day workshop, an all-star photography conference taught by 6 phenomenal mentors on the 18th and 19th of March at Dunglass Estate in Scotland, and the 21st and the 22nd of March at the Hoxton Holborn in London. Definitely book your tickets. Don't wait. It does get sold out very quickly. And if you have loved our conversation, you can hit that subscribe button at our YouTube, which is www.youtube.com/@perspectivebycinemate. And you can get the podcast wherever you get your podcast. And we hope to see you in the next episode. However,
in the meantime,
enjoy your Thrive.